fire damage has never been more peaked than it is right now in Helldivers 2. It is absolutely one of the most powerful tools in general in the game. We've been primarily using it on the bug and the illuminate front because there are more close quarter opportunities and which is easier to just coat the ground and then watch them die. On the bots, we knew that fire weapons worked well, such as the torture, the crisper, and the flamethrower, because the type of damage over penetrates the armor of the various automatons and it will deal heavy damage, killing them quickly. The issue was you're in close quarters. Nobody wants to be in close quarters for a very long time against the bots because you're going to get shot to death or ragdolled to death. So basically, with the introduction of the warp pack, that has completely transformed our opportunities to be able to use different things on the bot front. One of those things is now we can actually use these flamethrower style weapons against the bots. So now things like the crisper, the torture especially, are finally able to be used the right way that they're supposed to be used on the bot front. You can just warp in, kill things, warp out. We're able to do this to convoys. So basically, I've been running around on the convoy missions while we have been having to do the major order, and I've been absolutely eviscerating convoys with just warping in underneath them, burning the bottom of them, and absolutely killing them very quickly. So basically, the goal of this video is to highlight exactly what fire weapons can do on the bot front and explain how to use them properly, because I know a lot of people are going to start running out and using them because they become popularized on the bot front. I want to also explain how to use the warp pack correctly with the flamethrower-esque weapons such as the torture and the crisper especially, because there are some things you can do to mess yourself up and get yourself killed quite a bit. So that's something to keep in mind there. And then lastly, I want to give you some loadout combinations that have been extremely successful on the bot front, fully maximizing the potential of these flamethrower type weapons, and I want to show you exactly how to use those loadouts against the bots. But anyways, we got a lot to talk about. Let's do it. The big picture question we have to ask ourselves is, why is fire damage all of a sudden great on bots? It's always been good on bots, just the issue was having to be close quarters and not being able to get away. But now that mobility has increased, a lot of people are seeing that, hell, these things are actually quite freaking good at taking out bots very easily. The reason why is because fire damage ignores armor plating. So essentially, Hulks, factory striders, tanks, whatever you shoot with this thing is going to die very quickly because you're going to be able to do more damage to them because fire already got a big buff. Basically, the larger the target, the more damage fire is going to do to it, especially the dot damage. So you can a lot of times just set something on fire, walk away, and it's going to die very quickly. Now, things like factory striders require persistent fire, which we'll get into in a moment. But just because of the nature of the way these flamethrower type weapons work, essentially you are going to set things on fire. You're going to be able to hold that a little bit longer on things like Hulks and factory striders, and they're going to die very quickly from just the sheer damage because there is heavy penetration, and these things deal a lot of damage per second on their own. So how does the warp pack synergize with fire weapons to create a ultimate combination? So it's really simple. You just warp into a situation, set something on fire, warp out. There's some nuances obviously with it. You're going to have to think about this a little bit. If you just warp haphazardly, either A, the thing's going to explode on you, or B, you're going to warp into a bad situation and die very quickly. So you have to have some sort of tacticalness about it, because it is quite fun to just warp around, set things on fire, and fly away. But one of the best things about the warp pack, which makes it so unique, is not only does it increase your mobility by a crap ton, meaning you can move side to side or front to back or wherever up on things. It gives you a ton of mobility overall. I could go for an hour talking about this, but what it also does is allow you to continue to shoot whatever weapon, if it's a laser weapon or a flame type weapon, consistently while you're warping, so you can still be hitting that target that you're shooting at. So if you have a Hulk situation, you can continue hitting that Hulk with your fire weapon, so that way it continues to die faster. So it's an absolute elite combination just for that alone. With the combination of the warp pack and the flame weapons, you warp into a situation and you want to set whatever enemies on fire. So if you're facing the berserker enemies, the devastators, they're going to die pretty quickly from fire damage. So you just set them directly on fire and they'll burn to death and die very quickly. You can set the ground on fire if they're coming towards you a little bit, so that way you can persistently have fire dot damage going on them. So that's one way to do it, because you don't need to spend a lot of time spraying at them. You just jump in, spray like 2 or 3 seconds, warp out. That's pretty much the simplicity of it. You don't want to stay in there too long, especially if there's a large pack of them. When you're dealing with the rocket striders, you want to shoot the little rocket area. That will kill them the fastest. You can shoot the midsection to set them on fire, but they're a little bit beefier, so I would definitely aim for that rocket area. When you're facing tanks, it's really simple. They're probably the easiest thing in the world to take out with the crisper or torture or whatever flame weapon you use. You just warp up to the side of it, and then you destroy it really quickly and warp out, run away or whatever. It's going to be a powerful tool against them because it's going to kill them in seconds. So when you're dealing with Hulks, you want to pick an area to hit. I usually hit either the right or the left leg, and you want to focus that down. So that way when you warp to the side, you continue hitting that particular area. If you want to warp through them, it's even better a lot of times because they'll have to turn around and reposition, so they can't really hit you, and you can just keep continuing to hit that leg, and they will die really fast in like 5 seconds. It's very quick overall. War Striders is not quite as effective on the War Striders, but if you hit them in the little mid part area, it works pretty good. You can also aim for the joint area, but I found the most success in that little mid area of theirs. So if you use like stun grenades and things like that, it'll actually be quite useful there. For the Factory Striders, I feel like this is where this thing is actually the most fun, in my opinion. Is basically you can take out that top gun. It makes it significantly easier with like EATs or whatever, makes it much easier, and then you just warp out behind them. I love to like just run up behind the convoy, start blasting them from the bottom. It takes about 5-6 seconds to be able to kill a Factory Strider with the Crisper or the Torture. It's very quick overall, and it's just really fun. If you're attacking from the front, you're going to probably want to take out those little top guns, but the great thing about the warp pack is it allows you to warp in, warp out, or warp to a safe area, so that way if you have other enemies around you, it's easier to take cover and whatnot. So now that we've discussed how fire damage works against the bots and how the warp pack comes into play to make it even better and easier for you to deal fire damage to the bots, let's talk about some loadouts that I felt like worked the best. So in my experience, in my opinion, the best combination of flamethrower type weapon and warp pack was the Crisper. The Torture did work well. It does have a prolonged fire, which is nice, so it can shoot a little bit longer. It can actually be a little bit more efficient when you're dealing with the various elite units. But I just felt like there was some other primaries that I wanted to run, so that's why I felt like the Crisper was nice, because I wasn't using fire damage non-stop, and the Torture was requiring me to use the fire damage more non-stop than I would like. So essentially I like the Crisper better because it had situations where I just pepper the ground, be able to deal a lot of damage to whatever various units there were. I was able to focus on a Hulk real quick or things of that nature. So in general, that's what I thought was the best combination, was the warp pack and the Crisper. With that in mind, for my primary weapons, I was using things like the Purifier, Diligence, Eruptor. You can kind of pick and choose which weapons you want to use, but Purifier was definitely the one that I saw the most success with, obviously because it's the best weapon on the bot front. But the Diligence was really fun paired with the Crisper and the warp pack. I quite enjoyed using that combination as well. For my equipment items, I was bringing in the Arc Grenade quite a bit, as well as Thermites are an obvious choice, and then the Pyro Grenades are very powerful as well if you have those in your arsenal, because the Arc Grenade and the Pyro Grenade work best if you throw a few of them out there, because the Arc Grenade will be stunning up enemies and also killing them, and the Pyro Grenade has a huge anti-tank potential and will deal a lot of damage setting things on fire as well. So if you want to dive more into the fire fantasy, and then Thermites we all know are the best anti-tank tool on the bot front, so really kind of dealer's choice, but my personal favorite was the Arc Grenade and the Pyro Grenade personally. For the other stratagems, I was using quite a few different combinations. For my primary support weapons, I was using a lot of EAT commando combinations, basically going all expendable. That was a lot of fun. I was also using the Quasar a good bit, and the laser cannon has been quite a good weapon on the bot front as well, so you can kind of pick and choose which support weapon you want to use. The Rocket Sentry was something I brought in consistently. It is just so helpful, especially when you're dealing with the convoy missions or anything like that. You can set this up far away, you can start dealing some damage. You can go in there with the Crisper, finish off whatever units are in there. It will help you with elite units as well. And just in general, it's good for clearing things. So I love the Rocket Sentry against the bots in general. And then for the last stratagem slot, I was bringing in a mixture of anti-tank emplacements, HMG emplacements, walking barrage, 500 kg, so you can kind of pick and choose which one you want for like big clearing. The 500 kg was very good because I was able to take out some objectives like detector towers and things like that, which is nice. The AT emplacement is just absolutely elite if you set it up very well, and the map is an open map environment, so overall it really doesn't matter which fourth option you choose, but that's really kind of where I narrowed it down to be able to run it. So if there's a scenario where you want to run the Torture instead of the Crisper, you can actually run the Talon or the Ultimatum in your secondary slot, so that is an option for you as well if you feel like you want the more ammo economy from the Torture. So in general, again, it's kind of a toss-up between the Crisper and the Torture. I personally enjoy the Crisper more in these loadouts more than I did the Torture, so again, it's just kind of dealer's choice. But yeah, on screen you're going to be seeing me using some of these loadouts in play, and the cat and mouse game I was playing was so much more fun than the normal just kind of stay away or just kind of like be more stagnant type approach, because a lot of times with the bots, a lot of people were just trying to avoid getting shot, but you can do that with the warp pack. You're just moving around, traversing the field, lighting things on fire with the Crisper, switching to your anti-tank tools at various times like that, setting up the Rocket Sentry, using whatever primary you have. Again, it was just a lot of fun being able to just dictate how I want to play the bots now instead of them dictating how they're going to play me. Of course, you ran into situations with ragdoll hell and all the normal stuff with the bots, but in general, I felt like the Crisper has improved or just vastly altered the way that I play the bots, because I'm able to have situations where like, okay, well, instead of me trying to deal with this factory strider from a mile away, let me just run up underneath it and just blast it with the crisper real quick and just warp out and go do something else. Also, same thing with Hulks. I can just blast Hulks with the crisper, saves the anti-tank tools, like let's say my Quasar's on cooldown. I can just blast up a Hulk with a quick crisper shot and whatnot. Overall, the crisper warp pack combination has been one of my favorite combinations to bring on the bot front right now, and it is just very, very powerful overall. Alrighty, I hope this video helped you figure out exactly how to bring in fire weapons versus the bots. Let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comments below, and more importantly, make sure you like and subscribe for more content similar to this. But anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.